Hey everybody, welcome back to Prepper Junkie. Today on the table we have an Andro Corp AR-15. Let's check this one out. Alright folks, as I said, this is an Andro Corp's AR-15 that we have on the table here. I picked this up from Primary Arms, and we'll go into the deal that I got on it in just a little bit. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about the company, because I personally hadn't heard of this company, and I don't mean that disrespectful to Andro Corp. I just hadn't heard of them. I'd seen that their guns occasionally, but I really hadn't heard of them, so I contacted them. This is kind of key. I contacted them one night, and by the time the morning rolled around, I already had a reply from the owner, Jason Wilcox, answering some of my questions. I mean, who does that? So that was extremely impressive. You know, a lot of companies take days to get back to you. Some budget AR-15 companies still haven't got back to me. And if you've watched my previous videos, you know who I'm talking about. So having great customer service and getting back to me that quick with answering some of my questions, I thought was extremely impressive. Okay, so they're actually based out of Florida, and they've actually mentioned that the majority of their products are actually made in Florida, and so on. They were started about I think it was 8 years ago, and they actually export about 50% of their business outside of the country. Obviously, they didn't say where, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyway, just a note, as I say, I just thought that was really impressive that not only did they get back to me, it was the owner that replied to me, and again, within 12 hours. So very impressive and very polite. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jason, if you're watching this. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started. Let's start at the back here. We do have a very typical M4 buttstock that comes on the back here. You know, you've got your original sling attachments right here. Obviously it's adjustable. There's no rubber padding or anything like that. It's a really basic stock, which I don't mind that they come with this, because it keeps the price down, and I can switch this out to something else, whatever I want, with the savings that I make, or you can just run it. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with these. They're, you know, like people just do obviously like to upgrade them. Now this is 100% mil-spec gun, as stated by the company. So you have a mil-spec buffer tube, and you come down to the castle nut. Castle nut has been staked once, and the staking looks really good, which is really nice to see. Again, in some other budget rifles, I've noticed that they haven't even done any staking on there. All right, so moving along to the top here, we do have a standard charging handle on here. Again, you know, it's a basic charging handle. They work just fine. There's no, you know, they work just fine, as I said, but again, it's one of those nice things that you can upgrade in the future. If you're just trying to get into a rifle at a reasonable cost and you want to upgrade this later, very, very simple to do and highly recommended, but it does come with a standard charging handle right there. Now we do have T markings, T2, you can see right there, T4. And it's just on the upper receiver. It doesn't go up the whole way up the rail, but it's still nice to have those markings on the upper receiver. Everything is where you expect it to be. It's not ambidextrous in any kind of way. So we do have a obviously brass deflector, your charging handle, your mag release, you have your safety right here, and you have your bolt catch and release right there. So again, everything very standard. It's just standard AR-15. Moving down to the upper and lower is 7075 T6 aluminum. Moving down to the lower, again, you have the very basic grip on there. Again, I don't mind, keeps the price down. I can put whatever I want on later, which I do recommend. Personally, the Magpul K2 Plus grip, that is my favorite personal grip out there at the moment. But either way, it does come with this. It does, you know, there's no rubber overmold. It does have some nice texturing. Again, it works just fine. You do have a straight trigger guard. Again, I do prefer curved trigger guards. Not a big deal, and it functions just fine. And we do have a standard mil-spec trigger in here also. Let's take out the mag. It does come with a 30 round PMag. This is not, excuse me, it comes with a 30 round MFT mag, but I was using PMag on the review, but it does come with an MFT mag and some other swag. There's a couple of patches and stuff in there that they included, which was nice. But this is just a very standard mil-spec trigger. You got just, you're almost at the wall. It's just a tiny bit of take up. Pretty decent break right there. And then you've got the reset, a little bit of let out. And then reasonably forceful and tactile reset there. It's a mil-spec trigger, nothing to write home about, does the job a-okay though. Obviously we'll take apart the upper and we'll have a look at the bolt carrier group in just a second. You got a little bit of branding on the other side here, ACI and Andro Corp Industries, so ACI on there. Mag well's been fluted out just a little bit as expected for easy insertion of your magazine. Okay, moving up to the handguard. I really like this handguard. Very simplistic, very basic, tons of M-lock slots all the way around. So 1, 3, 5, 6, 9, whatever, you know, there's tons of M-lock slots on there so you can attach whatever you need. Again, you have obviously your Picatinny rail the whole way along right here. The handguard isn't, it's like, for me, I have medium-sized hands. I find this the perfect size to get my C-clamp on there. Some handguards sometimes feel a little bit small. I think it was on the Springfield Saint where the handguard just felt a little too thin for me. And then there's been other guns where the handrail's just kind of chunky. This is, for me, almost perfect size to get that C-clamp on this gun. I really like the size of this handrail, this handguard a lot. Very nice. Below there we have a 16-inch barrel. We have a mid-length gas system. The barrel is a 1-in-7 twist. It's got a melanite lining inside of it, and it's a nitride finish. And then you have the A2 bird cage at the front here. Let's do the wiggle test. I like to do this between the upper and lower just to see if there's any play in there. I mean, if there's play, it's not a massive deal, but it's just like, sometimes it's just nice to see if it's got that really tight fitment. There's just a tiny little bit of wiggle in there, not much at all. Pretty dang decent job from Andro. Okay, so let's move along and take this down, take out the bolt carrier group and take a look at that real fast. Before we get there, in the back here we have a standard buffer system. You have a stainless steel buffer spring. They'll last you about 5,000 rounds, 5,000 cycles. I do recommend changing them out to something else like a damaged industry spring. You can pick them up pretty cheap and they last. I think the piano wire, the enhanced one, is like 750,000 cycles. So you should never need another buffer spring. But even the stainless steel, a lot of people won't actually wear that out because they won't do enough shooting. And you have a standard buffer in there also. So we're going to take out the bolt carrier grip and the charging handle. And then we're going to check out this check out this BCG. You're going to look at the staking on the gas key, and the staking looks like it's been done pretty well. You do have a little bit of branding on here, and then you're just going to look around, make sure everything looks okay, that it's smooth, there's no chunks, anything that just kind of is out of place. Everything is good to go. All right, and then they did mention on the barrel. The barrel does have M4 feed ramps so making loading the round just a little bit easier. So it does have M4 feed ramps on the barrel. Obviously, just put this back together. All right, so let's talk about shooting it. Shooting, I'm about my usual about 300 rounds through the gun so far. Just 55 grain, all brass, plinking ammo, nothing special. With the mid-length gas system in here, it's a very nice, pretty soft shooting gun. Nice shooting experience, no problems with that. I did promise you guys to start adding some accuracy parts to the video, and we did start on this one. So this is the type of target I'm shooting. The first shots are going to be at 100 yards, and then the second part, we bring it a little closer at 50 yards. So let's check that out. All right, folks, as you see, I'm not going to win any shooting competitions. Now, I want again, in not defense of the gun, but the gun barrel is a 1-7. It does prefer the heavier loads of 77 grain. We have 55 grain going through here. So I'm pretty sure if we had the heavier loads going through, it would tighten those groups up a little more. And bear in mind, I'm shooting 100 yards with a magnifier. I'm not using a scope or anything like that. So just bear that in mind. Not trying to make excuses, but bear that in mind. All right, so you'd seen that we started, the grouping wasn't great at 100 yards. I mean, it wasn't terrible by any means. I only had a rough zero on the optics, so that's why we're off a little bit. I didn't have a very accurate zero on the gun. But in saying that, at 100 yards, I mean, it wasn't horrendous. And again, I feel like if we're using those heavier rounds, we would definitely make those groupings a lot tighter. So yeah, about 100 yards. Now, I didn't have my rangefinder with me, so I was guesstimating, but it's probably got to be at least 100 yards, maybe just a bit over, just a little bit, but about 100 yards, you can see that we're getting kind of that kind of area. So not horrendous. Again, if this was more of an accurate zero on there, if I'd put that on there, if you look at that kind of grouping and you stuck it in this area, if I had that accurate grouping, I wouldn't be disappointed where my hits would be hitting. I'd be more than happy with that. As we brought the target a little closer, I'm guesstimating. I think it was a little more than 50 yards. It was probably between 50 to 65, 70 yards. We started tightening these groups up a lot, just that little bit of distance in, and I really started tightening the groups up quite a bit there. So accuracy, not too bad, not too shabby at all. Again, if I actually used a scope or used the actual rounds that this barrel probably prefers, we would have had them a lot tighter. But I think in general, I don't think that's too bad for this gun. So that's that. Okay, so let's talk about the price on this particular gun at the moment. These are going to, the kind of standard pricing for these is $699. I think you're getting, I think it's priced really well. I think you're getting a good quality gun for the money. Now, before I forget, also, they do mention that you do have a lifetime warranty on these products as well. So bear that in mind. So $699 was, and it's not the price I actually paid for this. So right now they're at $699, and again, even at $699, I feel like this is a very solid AR-15 for the money. At $699, it's competing with, say, the Smith & Wesson and some Radical firearms. With my recent experience with Radical firearms, I would definitely rate this higher than Radical firearms, and Radical firearms wasn't staking some of their Picasso nut, and the staking on my recent BCG wasn't as good as this. And I feel like overall quality of this particular gun is better than some of the Radical firearms that I have reviewed. I think this for me is going to be alongside the Smith & Wesson Sport. I think the Sport 2 for me has more of a long-term history for me because I've definitely used it over the years. But you're talking about that same kind of price range, and I really don't think you'd be disappointed with this gun. Now, in saying all of that, as I said, I didn't pick this up for $699. On Primary Arms, these will occasionally drop to $399. At that price, there is, for me, no better AR-15 at that price. Period. Even again, sometimes when you have other companies, sometimes will do the sales, will drop their gun prices. For $399, this is the best AR-15 at that price point that I have personally reviewed to date. No questions asked. And again, even at $699, I feel like you're getting your money's worth. At $399, this is a screaming deal, and I would highly recommend you jump on it at that price if you're looking for a budget-friendly AR-15. Definitely look at one of these. So my overall thoughts, company was very impressive, and I was really happy that not only did they email me back, it was the owner emailed me back within 12 hours, which I thought was impressive. The overall quality construction of the gun seems very good. Again, I love the size of this rail. Zero issues with it. The accuracy is pretty good. I'd like to run some 77 grains through them to see if I can just kind of clean that up a little bit and a more of an accurate zero to give this more of a fair shout. But I'm not disappointed in the slightest. Again, for the money I paid for it, I'm extremely happy with this gun. So, all right, folks, that is it from me. Any questions, any comments, please ask me below. I'm always happy to help out wherever I can. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, please do so. It really doesn't cost you a dime, but it does help me out a ton, and I do really, really appreciate it. All right, folks, that is it. Until next time. I'll catch you later.